2018 was a great year for gaming, but it also saw some casualties. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRank's 10 video game things that died in 2018. Number 10 is Miitomo. Remember Miitomo, the first Nintendo app? It was kind of a game, it was kind of a social network, it was really oriented around logging in every single day to get some coins. I thought it was kind of cool in some respects, but in others I really thought it was a big waste of time. And I think that those are ultimately the things that sort of won out, because they didn't really develop a lot further beyond the initial premise. And that's my overall issue with it. I would guess that it's probably a similar issue to what a lot of other people have had with it. Honestly, did you play Fire Emblem Heroes on smartphone? It's actually good. I'd much rather see the effort put in those directions, and I think that's kind of why they're shutting down Miitomo. So, while some people might miss it, I probably won't. Number 9 is pretty much the rest of Final Fantasy XV's remaining DLC. Now, this was unfortunate because the reason it happened is the director of Final Fantasy XV, Tetsuya Nomura, left Square Enix, which is unfortunate. And it also exposes some of the bigger problems of releasing a game not as a finished work, but rather as a pseudo-platform for more content. If you think about that, it actually makes games feel very weird. In games going back as far as like Fallout 3, where the real ending was paid DLC, imagine if between the game and that ending, the director quit or retired or something. The vision for the game would be severely compromised. With Final Fantasy XV, it was to the point where they thought canceling a bunch of DLC they would have made a buttload of money off of, whether it was good or not. So it's potentially a pretty severe problem. And I think this is something we should be thinking about more, that maybe we wouldn't have spent any attention on if this hadn't happened. Number 8 is Boss Key Studios, Cliff Bleszinski's project. They built Lawbreakers, which was an online game, a shooter along the lines of Overwatch, and they spent a lot of money on it. It basically made it impossible for the studio to go anywhere, specifically because of this. And as a creative side project, they came up with the Battle Royale game, Radical Heights, which I'll take them at their word about it being a creative side project, but to me it does seem like it could just as easily be kind of a last-ditch effort at scoring a hit, which they kind of put out in 0 hour, and wow, it wasn't good enough. It was fairly buggy, and although it looked cool and had a definite identity, it wasn't enough. Number 7, Nintendo decided, hey, ROM sites, that's gonna be no more. Websites that archive and store ROMs, or basically what you need to download to play old games on emulators, has gotten quite sue-hoppy, shutting down these ROM sites entirely. Now, for the purposes of archival of games, this is very bad. Most of the games on these sites are not available in any other form. There are certainly the big hits that show up on various Nintendo services, although let's just say the current crop on the Switch online service is so limited and frankly, in my opinion, not that great at all. But it's not just what games can I play today, it's how do we have these games 50 years in the future? Do they just cease to exist? And that's a question that we're having to think about a lot more now in 2018. Thanks, Nintendo. Number 6, old Paragon got shut down, cause, you know, Fortnite is much bigger than Paragon. Paragon, Epic Games' MOBA, didn't meet growth expectations, and it was actually a while back they shifted their resources towards working on Fortnite, actually happening somewhere in 2017. But early this year, they shut it down and moved all of the employees working on it to Fortnite, cause that's how business works. Number 5, very similar to number 6, RuneScape Classic, which was at the time of its closure not even actually really supported at all by employees of the company that own and maintain RuneScape, which has like a bunch of different versions of RuneScape going, so it's not like RuneScape is actually gone, just that particular iteration RuneScape Classic is. If you want that kind of RuneScape, you can go into old school RuneScape, which is apparently almost the same. I don't know, it's been a very long time since I've been particularly into that, but they found a lot of success with the mobile port of old school RuneScape, which is very interesting. Still, RuneScape Classic, after 17 years of operation being shut down, is a bit of a landmark, and it does bring up some memories. Number 4 is Evolve, the servers for Evolve, the 4-on-1 asymmetrical monster hunting extravaganza that I think everybody knew within a short time of its existence was probably going to shut down. In fact, it's possible that it lasted a little bit longer than some of us expected due to the Stage 2 sort of quote-unquote reboot that didn't fix enough of the problems. You'll still be able to play the game peer-to-peer, but I mean, that means that you need to know several people who want to play the game, which it's Evolve. It was a really cool idea, but it really didn't pan out, so I don't think anybody's surprised. I do think that it kind of sucks that it didn't turn out to be as cool as it sounded, but that's what happened. Number 3 is WildStar, an MMORPG that a lot of people actually liked quite a bit. Now, it's not necessarily because there weren't enough people playing the game, but the business model perhaps just wasn't enough to sustain, because this was a game that people did actually like and did have a pretty big community built around it. But NCSoft, the people who own Carbide Studios, the developers of WildStar, eventually had to lay off a bunch of employees, and when you lay off employees from an MMO, an online content platform, it's not a good sign. It sucks because there really aren't a lot of sci-fi MMOs, and it was a pretty well-liked game, like I said. Number 2 is Club Penguin. Yes, we know that Club Penguin shut down in 2017, but Disney attempted to revive Club Penguin on mobile as Club Penguin Island. They also had a cheaper subscription price on the mobile platform, and it didn't work out. Unfortunately, Disney has closed Club Penguin Island, closing the entirety of Club Penguin for good. There are private servers, it's still possible to play the game, but it's not official. This was the last bastion of the official Club Penguin. And finally, number 1 is of course Telltale Games. This one hit a lot of people hard because it's happened for a lot of reasons, some of them being slow declines in sales that maybe could have been sustained with better management. Part of it is that management's interactions with the employees, which were reportedly less than good, and they turned over the development to the 3rd season to a different developer, and apparently have filed now that they're not going to exist anymore. That's pretty much it. For a while, they maintained they weren't going to shut down, but I think everybody kind of saw through that, which means we're never going to see the Stranger Things game, which kind of sucks because I think Stranger Things was a really good choice for that kind of game, and The Wolf Among Us Season 2 isn't going to happen. On top of that, it really sucks for all of the people who were very invested in trying to bring the company back to its former greatness. A lot of developers that worked there were really dead set on that, and unfortunately, those people ended up without jobs, which sucks. And a few bonus dead things for you. Prima Games, the video game strategy guide maker, announced that they'll be closing their doors, and obviously that means the end of a pretty long tradition in video games, the Prima Games strategy guide. Next is the Steam machine, which was very quietly killed off. Valve ended relationships with hardware partners. I mean, you could still in theory build a Steam machine, but it's kind of like a project that's a bit over. Hey Valve, make some games please. YouTube Gaming ended as a standalone thing. It is now fully integrated into YouTube. Finally, Steam Link died off. At least the hardware. Steam Link was a means to play Steam games on your TV. It was pretty cool. I mean, you'll still be able to use Steam in-home streaming, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to use the hardware itself still, but what was actually a pretty innovative way of PC gaming on the TV is dead now. Kind of a depressing video, actually. Some of these things were quite good. Some of them weren't, of course, but it's really up to you which is which. So leave us a comment, tell us what you're thinking, and if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to click the subscribe button, and do not forget to click the notification bell. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and that's the best way to see them. As always, so thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on Game Ranks.